So those of you who are foolish enough to get married, can you how much do you picture spending on an engagement ring if you choose to even do one? But how much do you picture spending on it? Maybe $500, maybe $1,000, maybe a couple $1,000, or what about $20,000 on an engagement ring? Would any of you actually spend that? We've got a story here about some dude who actually did. And his fiance, hopefully it's now ex-fiance, but his fiance isn't happy with it. I mean, good grief, I can think of many things that would have a much greater return on investment than a $20,000 engagement ring. That's insane. I mean, no matter how infatuated you are, $20,000 on an engagement ring. The guy must have been out of his mind. I mean, heck, I can take $20,000 and double it in a couple weeks' time. Less than that, I can double that in a week. Here's the story. So the title of this is, this man asked what he should do after his fiancée demanded he return a lab-grown diamond for a natural one. So marriage is supposed to be a joyous union between two people who are in love. The proposal is stressful, but when they can say yes, both sides should be happy. However, that wasn't the case in this story that you're about to hear. A Reddit user made a throwaway account to ask the community if he was the asshole for how he reacted when his bride-to-be revealed she wasn't happy with her engagement ring. And well, everybody, especially Reddit, had some really strong opinions on this one. So I proposed to my then-girlfriend of 5 years when she was 27 last month. It was wonderful and she said yes, and we were never happier. Well, last week is when the trouble started, as she asked me how much I spent on her ring. Well, my first question is why does she even want to know how much he spent on her ring? It's none of her damn business. And quite honestly, one can assume that she's going to complain about the price either way, so that tells you right off the bat that she's got an entitled mentality because she's going to try to find something that's, not good about it or something that she doesn't like about it for the sole purpose of complaining so she can try to tailor something or have it her way. She probably didn't like something about the ring, so she opened the conversation with, how much did this cost? Maybe we can do something else with the money. Maybe we can buy something more to my liking as far as rings go. Well, anyhow, let's see what goes on after this. So I told her that I spent about $20,000 on it. Did everybody hear that correctly? He said that he spent $20,000 on an engagement ring. That's not even the wedding band. That's the freaking engagement ring. $20,000. I can think of so many better things that I can do with $20,000 than to get a freaking engagement ring. It's such a waste of money, especially for someone who probably maybe 3-5 years down the line max is going to go screwing around with somebody else and she's going to end up pawning it off anyway. I mean, come on, use your head. Anyhow, I told her that I spent about $20,000 on it, that I had been squirreling it away for the past 10 years. He spent 10 years putting money away for this. When I first started saving for this ring, I was planning on building a car kit. But when I started seriously considered proposing, I decided that it was worth more to me spending the money on the ring than it was the car kit. So this guy starts putting money away for something that he really wants, something that he enjoys, only to have several years later some chick come along. He's completely and totally infatuated by her. Decides, hey, you know what? I've been saving this money for X number of years so far for something that I want, but you know what? I think it would be a better idea to go spend $20,000 once I've got this saved on an engagement ring. So you know what? That's what I'm going to do with it. Golly, I mean, good grief, man. So she was initially floored that I spent so much on her. Well, that's a huge red flag right there. I mean, if he's willing to spend $20,000 on an engagement ring, she's thinking to herself, damn, can you imagine what I'm going to get out of this guy later on in marriage? When I have that legal contract that says he can't leave me lest he wants to lose everything that he owns. So, like I said, she was initially floored that I spent so much on her, but later became suspicious that I had managed to get such a large stone, 3.6 carats, for that price. So I don't know much about gemstones, engagement rings, all that, but I guess $20,000 isn't enough or isn't a lot for 3.6 carats. I mean, I personally don't know. So instead of her thinking he just simply got a good deal, she had to be suspicious about it. She had to be unhappy about it. Again, pointing back to the entitled mentality. So anyhow, she asked to see the certificate that I got with the diamond ring. I guess they have certificates that certify rings and gemstones. Like I said, I truly don't know much about gemstones, but I guess it would make sense for authenticity purposes and perhaps even resale value. So of course I take it out to show her. I thought she was worried that I had been duped into buying a fake diamond. Well, what she saw that it was lab grown, and she got furious that I had not bought her a real diamond. So let's take a step back to consider this just for a moment. Forget that it's a ring. Forget that it's an engagement ring. Forget that it's a stone. Someone spent $20,000 that they had been saving for 10 years. $20,000 on you. And you have the narcissistic audacity to say, it's not what I really wanted? Who in their right mind would ever say something like that to anybody? How entitled does one have to be to even get to the thought of saying something like that to someone? I mean, after they had spent 10 years saving for this, when this money originally wasn't even going to go for this, when this money was going to go for a car kit that he wanted to do for something that he enjoyed, but instead he spent it for someone else. Can you imagine acting like this? Having this kind of entitled mentality for someone that spent $20,000 on you? Willingly, mind you, $20,000. My friend, if you ever hear this, there are so many things you can do with that $20,000 that will return you a much greater yield on a $20,000 investment rather than an entitled woman. So her reaction actually stunned me for a couple reasons. First, I had always been open with my distaste for the natural diamond industry. And secondly, because I had employed the assistance of her friends and mother, and everyone agreed that she wouldn't care if it was a lab-grown diamond. And you know what? Who would care? I mean, if you're marrying for quote-unquote love, why would you care? I mean, if you really think about it, you'd be happy with a plastic ring from one of those 25-cent machines. If, of course, you're marrying for quote-unquote the Disney fairy tale of love. So over the last week, I have explained to her multiple times my reason for getting a lab-grown one versus a natural gemstone. According to him, it's better for the environment. I know the exact origin of the stone, so I know it isn't a conflict stone. I'm not entirely sure what that is. And ultimately, it's a better value for the money, and I wanted her to get the most beautiful ring possible. And that lab-grown diamonds are in every way real diamonds, and they are also indistinguishable from natural ones unless you look at it on the certificate itself. So like I said, I don't know anything about gemstones, the industry. That interests some people. That's just, it's not my cup of tea. That's not my thing. But from what it sounds like, the only reason why she knew this, she was over the moon for it. And the only reason why she knew this was because she asked about it. She wanted to find out why such a high-carated stone cost what it did. Apparently, she thought it would cost more. Oh, actually, he goes on to say that I've also pointed out that she would have no clue. She would have never known if I had not told her the price of the ring. But she insists that she can tell a difference, and it's just not the same. So now she is unhappy with it after she was over the moon for it when he said that she loved the ring. So now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of this. It's a materialistic thing. It isn't a I'm marrying him because I love him thing. It's a, well, you know what? I'm unhappy with a $20,000 object that someone spent on me type of thing. That just blows my mind. I can't imagine saying that for someone who spent $50 on me, let alone someone who spent $20,000 on me. I certainly hope she is single and lonely for the rest of her life. She deserves nothing more than a dog. Oh, wow. So yesterday she asked me if I would be willing to exchange it for a natural stone of equivalent value. So normally I would be happy to do so, but I spent months searching and picking the perfect ring for her. And also, the thought value was also a huge reason for me. The idea of potentially getting a blood diamond really does sicken me. Okay, I have heard that term before, and I do know what that term means. So he ended up putting his foot down and he said, no, I'm not going to do this. I said to her, if she wanted to give the ring back to me, then that would be the end of our relationship. Well, you know what? Good for him. I hope that even if she didn't give the ring back, this whole experience would have woken him up and he would have kicked her to the curb. This is unbelievable. So he said that if she wanted to give it back, that would be the end of their relationship. That's the way he wanted it, and he is not going to exchange it for her. So her reaction is to call him an asshole, and she went to stay the night with her parents. I don't believe it. Well, you know what? I do believe it. She is a product of the modern woman generation, and therefore she is entitled to the core. She has the audacity to say that she doesn't like a $20,000 gift that was given to her. So since then, he received multiple texts from her friends telling him to acquiesce and just exchange the ring. And ultimately, I will if... Oh, no, man, don't do this. And ultimately, I will if it means saving the relationship. But I feel like this is something worth being firm on. Well, abso-freaking-lutely it is. In fact, you need to be so firm on this that you completely get rid of her and take back that $20,000. $20,000. I kind of doubt you'd be able to take it back. But you know what? If you can take it back, get that $20,000 back. You know what? Don't even invest it if you don't want to. Get that kit that you started saving for 10 years ago and do something that you want and do something that you enjoy because of it. But no matter what you do, no matter what the outcome of this is, make sure you get rid of her. And my friend, you never look back. You know, this is actually a pretty good sign of how the actual wedding and marriage is going to go, quite honestly. This man was trying to look out for what his personal beliefs were, what his principles were, and he chose something that he felt didn't negatively impact someone else. And you know what? I can respect that. So this shows you that not only is she extremely entitled, but she doesn't even value what he values, and that's a recipe for disaster. That is an absolute surefire recipe for failure later on as well. And you know what? Come to think of it, 9 chances out of 10, this is probably something that she would have kept over his head for who knows how long to come, especially if, God forbid, their marriage actually did last. You know, this would have been something that she would have held over him, that would have loomed over him in every argument, in every little thing that she was unhappy about. She would have gone back to how instead of he didn't love her enough to get her a real diamond, he got her a lab-grown one that just so happened to cost $20,000. Unbelievable. I can't understand why you would want to be with someone who is willing to put up this kind of a fight over a non-quote-unquote blood diamond, because that was what was really important to him. It was given to her out of love, his love for her, and the hope for a positive future together, but she clearly wasn't on the same page. It was all about what he can do for me, how much materialistically he can please me and make me happy, and, you know, apparently $20,000 wasn't enough. She wanted a 3.5 carat as a real gemstone, as one. I shouldn't say real because apparently they're both quote unquote real. One that was actually dug from the earth, one that was obtained from the ground. You know, I can only imagine the demands from this point forward that he would have to deal with. All in all, he needs to get rid of her, hopefully take back that ring. You know, even if there's a restocking fee, maybe there's a 15 or 20% restocking fee. Yeah, you're going to take a hit now, but you're going to save an ungodly amount of money, hardship, and insanity later on by getting rid of her and just taking the ring back. Hopefully, you know, taking the ring back and getting as much money back from that purchase as you can. So, fella, hopefully you learned from this and you dodged a massive bullet. So how about any of you? Can any of you actually even imagine saying that to something that was a mere fraction of that price, let alone $20,000? I could never say that to somebody. The thought just boggles my mind. I can't imagine being so ungrateful to somebody for a gift, hell, an engagement ring, something that someone would get for me. Anyhow, I hope you guys are able to take something from this, and you know, everybody, you do you, but please seriously consider, if you are ever going to, God forbid, ever get married in the future, really consider the ramifications of what you're doing. Look for the signs, especially stuff like this. I mean, this should be completely obvious to someone. To completely kick someone to the curb, and apparently, you know, this guy hasn't done that yet. Or maybe he did. I mean, it didn't really say, but it didn't come out and say that he specifically did kick her to the curb. But, man, always keep an eye out for this kind of stuff, because this is unbelievable. So anyhow, thank you for joining me today. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And if you'd like me to do more like this, please let me know down in the comments. Thank you much and take care.